So raise your hand if you have finals to study for, but you're filming a video instead because you are trash. Hi everyone, today I'm going to do a review of the book My Heart and Other Black Holes by Jasmine. Warga? I have had several people tell me that they love this cover, but I'm like 99% sure the actual cover of this is not like this. I could be wrong, it could be like this, but the Goodreads cover is different. We have an airfield behind our neighborhood and I totally just saw an airplane land and it was like about to hit a house. Okay, anyway, this book is about a girl named Azel, not Azel. It rhymes with gazelle. After a tragedy in her family occurs, she kind of becomes the blunt of a ton of bullying, and due to this, she starts becoming suicidal. So one day as she's perusing her favorite suicide website, she sees that someone in the partners section has requested a suicide partner and he's like 15 minutes away from her. So she decides that they should team up and commit suicide together. So then they meet and they start planning, and the book basically follows them two. I'm not going to say much else because I don't want to get too spoilery, but let's jump right into my review. From the very first chapter of this book, I could tell, I was like, this is a sassy main character, and I knew I was going to love it. And I loved it the entire book, how, I'm going to pronounce her name wrong the entire video, Azel. I love how she was snarky, and it's just like, it was perfect. In the beginning, I really didn't like Azel that much because she just seemed like a 12-year-old going through some kind of a phase. And I feel bad that she annoys me because I don't want to sound like I'm belittling her depression, but half the book I really couldn't take her seriously because she was just so distraught about like the smallest things. Well, I guess they weren't small, but like she overreacted a little bit, I think, and that was a little bit exhausting after a while. And it just made her seem like she was blowing all of her problems out of proportion. Just a little more about her character. Later on, after she and, oh, the guy's name is Roman, by the way. Roman is the guy she meets online. She meets him, and whenever they meet for the first time, she's like, he doesn't look like anyone that would be depressed. And I feel like that was just kind of a dumb thing to put in a book about depression, because the entire thing is like she's silently struggling, and I think it can be assumed that anyone can have depression. Like, it's always been told to people that you don't have to have a cloud above you to be depressed. So it just seemed hypocritical and almost even rude of Azel to be saying like, oh, but he was happy and he has friends, why is he depressed? And that was just one thing that I think was like, but all of these problems were at the very beginning of the book, and I definitely saw a shift in the characters, and I loved it. So all of that annoyingness, it just went away, or she matured or something, because it definitely got better toward the end, and I'm sure that has a lot to do with how her and Roman become friends and stuff. One of the main reasons I really liked this book is because the writing is just awesome. Like I said, with Azel being sassy, a lot of the writing just kind of mirrors that tone of sass, and it's really good descriptions of things, there are really good analogies, and I love how the writing is executed. I would definitely read more by Jasmine because I loved her writing. One of the hugest things I applaud this book for is that it makes sense. Recently, a lot of contemporaries I read, I find myself thinking like, that wouldn't happen. But this book, especially because in the beginning I was really wary. I thought it was a little bit unrealistic that they live so close together, but really it kind of made sense in the end. Everything that they did together and all the conversations they had and all the different times they hung out, everything just seemed realistic. Even though their initial meeting was kind of like, will that actually happen? I really liked how it turned out, and I like how everything that occurred was like, I was down with it, and I wasn't like, oh, this is so lame. It seemed like it could be real. I like how this book wasn't obnoxiously romance heavy. For the majority of the book, they kind of act like, I don't want to say mentors to each other, because they're definitely not trying to persuade each other to get better, but they're just like a shoulder to lean on because they have this date planned when they're gonna commit suicide together, which is April 7th. And the entire book, let me see if I can show ya. I don't know if you can see this, but it says like 23 days left, and it just counts down from there. In that time before they decide they're gonna commit suicide, they're kind of forming almost a companionship, which I loved. I loved the character development so much. It was very subtle yet genius. A lot of times in contemporary books, it's this character has a mindset that goes on throughout the entire book, then there's like an epiphany, then they change. It wasn't too fast, there wasn't an obnoxious epiphany moment. I'm having a lot of trouble talking about this because I don't want to give away the ending, and I realize a lot of my notes have to deal with how it ends. So sorry if my thoughts are kind of choppy. I'm gonna definitely be editing a lot out because I don't want to give away too much, but I'm trying. Another thing I really like about this book is that for a book about depression, it's not extremely dark. A lot of books about depression or kind of mental illnesses, you come out of being like almost hypochondriac, like, what am I okay? This book really didn't leave me like that. I wasn't scared to read it at night because I didn't want to go to bed feeling like I just got hit by a bus. It was really not lighthearted, but definitely didn't drag you down. You still got the feeling of Azel and Roman's sadness and their feelings, and you could still empathize with that. However, the tone of the book doesn't leave you feeling as depressed as they are. This is kind of a touchy subject, but it's like one of my favorite things about the book, so I'm gonna try and say this as non-spoilery as possible. The way that everything unfolds and the character development that occurs between the beginning and the end of the book, I highly applaud. Especially for a debut, it was done fantastically. Jasmine is a genius, the way that she structured this, the way that the characters progress, and the way that the plot progresses. There's a subtlety to how things change over the course of the book. But overall, the reason why I really like this book is because the structure of it, like I've been saying over and over, is so well planned and executed that it's just like I've never seen such good character development in a debut contemporary in a long time. So I love that. It's not cheesy or rushed like a ton of contemporaries are. That's basically all I have to say about it, but just one last thing. I hope this makes it to the final version, but in the back of this book it has websites and phone numbers to suicide prevention centers, and I think that's genius, and I love that that was put there. I've said the word genius like 17 times, but this book is a work of art. So that concludes everything that I have to say about this book. This book comes out in February. I do not have a date for you though. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I would say this is definitely more of a build your spirit type of book rather than a make you cry, get depressed sort of book, although it might come off as the latter. Bye everyone. I just hit myself in the face. Way to go.